Today, we begin festivities for the 4th annual Brickyard 400. In a moment, 51 of the finest short track stock car NASCAR drivers take to this 2.5-mile oval. The prize they want, what happened Saturday afternoon for the Brickyard, $4.5 million.
A lot of activity out on the racetrack, but most of the hard work will be going on in here, the famed Gasoline Alley, appropriately named because this week there is real gasoline back there. Now, this day is exactly what it's advertised as, a test day. Guys will be testing for qualifying, guys might be testing their race setup, and it's a freebie. It's a very rare day in the world of NASCAR, a day you can work on your car for a considerable amount of time, and it's very important because coming up, perhaps the second biggest race of the year.
Exactly, Bill. The Daytona 500 is gone. This is the biggest event remaining in 1997. The questions to be answered. What about Earnhardt? Can he break that 45-race winless streak? What about Rusty Wallace? He has the best average finish of anyone in 3 Brickyard 400s. His car owner, Roger Penske, has won here 10 times, but that's been IndyCar racing. And Bill Elliott is the only driver who has started and finished in the top 10 in all 3 races. Those guys want to win, but there are some new names, some new faces, and some new sponsors, which we'll show you in just a few minutes.
How about a familiar face like Dale Jarrett, the man who won here 1 year ago? And after struggling through the middle portion of the season, going 12 races without a win, Jarrett won last time out at Pocono, a flat 2.5-mile track. Now he's prepared to go out on another flat 2.5-mile track. Last year, he was the first guy ever to win here in a Ford. Now he'd like to be the first guy to ever win the Brickyard 400 twice.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, there was a serious need for speed. Once again, the doors have swung open for the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers. The richest and most attended race of the season rolls off Saturday for the 4th time. But there are 52 cars and only 42 spots available. So the first race these drivers will be concerned about is the race to make the field. And then to join the ranks of Gordon, Earnhardt, and Jarrett as winners of the Brickyard 400. They call it the capital of auto racing. It's located on the near west side of Indianapolis, Indiana. It's been here since 1909. The first 500-mile race was conducted in 1911. 4 years ago, a different kind of race car showed up here, a NASCAR Winston Cup stock car for the first Brickyard 400, and we're set to cover the 4th this week. ESPN2 Motorsports welcomes you live to Indianapolis, Indiana, and the Brickyard 400 first day of practice. And this is the place to be as we prepare for Saturday's run for the big money. We will have NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying live at 2:30 on ESPN tomorrow, with qualifying continuing here on the Deuce at 4 o'clock. Friday, second round qualifying here on the Deuce begins at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So a lot of activity here in the next few days, and we are here to cover it for you. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Beautiful day. The track has just opened for practice, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens here in the next few hours. And you know, Benny, I live here and enjoy coming here several times during the year, but every time I come in before the month of May and every time I come in here for the Brickyard 400, it's a special and emotional feeling.
Same things myself when I came in this morning, drove under the racetrack down in between 1 and 2. What a special place this is. I played golf with Mike Skinner yesterday, and in the golf cart we drove under the racetrack in the backstretch, coming to those 4 holes on the inside the racetrack, and Skinner said, when I drive in this place, the hair on my arm just stands up. This place is special.
Well, let's take a trip around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and see exactly how this racetrack is laid out. So around the yard we go, Benny.
It's a rectangular. Down in turn 1, a 90-degree left-hander. We make that left a short shoot. Around to turn 2, and once again, all these corners 90 degrees. Down a long back stretch. Good place to pass. Get position off the corner and try to beat them into turn 3. Once again, 90 degrees. The short shoot. We see pit road on the left side of the racetrack as we come off and down turn 4 to complete a lap at the Brickyard.
There's a 2.5-mile layout, and let's take a look statistically at how this track lays out. The back stretch and the front stretch are each 3,300 feet. The turns 1,320 and the short chutes are 660 feet. It looks flat, but there are 9 degrees of banking in the corners. Now, we have a totally different racetrack, Benny, than even when these drivers tested here a few weeks ago.
Look at the black strip right there the car was going through. That is new pavement, new asphalt that has been put down since the teams were here. Also, the Speedway, remember last year all the controversy we had about the cars getting in the grass? Since the cars tested here, the Speedway has added the rumble strips up next to the grass to keep those cars off that grass. Remember last year, Jeff Gordon, Kyle Petty got some nails or something off out of the grass, punctured tires, and hit the wall hard. So that's the Speedway's answer to keep the cars out of the grass.
So it'll be interesting to see if they do, or even if they'll be here tomorrow, right, Bill?
Exactly right, Bob. That's one thing NASCAR is going to be keeping a very close eye on, those rumble strips in the turn. Because basically, with the new 18-inch apron or so down there in the turns, there's enough room to race down there. The question is, what happens when you get in the grass? Well, if you go in there too wide with somebody on the inside, they're going to need that apron and maybe a little bit of that grass, and going through the grass would be penalty enough. However, if you get in those rumble strips, then you could have 2 cars in the wall. It's something NASCAR is looking at. You could see those rumble strips removed after today's practice in the interest of safety. To Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Bill, NASCAR has a rule about practice. They allow only 3 sets of tires to be used through the entire practice session until after second round qualifying. But because today is an open practice, that rule will actually go into effect tomorrow morning. All the teams here will get 3 sets starting tomorrow to take them through second round qualifying. But what about this open day today, this 4-hour session? Well, the teams that tested here got 4 sets of tires, and those are the 4 sets they have to use. If you did not test here, you will be given 4 sets, or else you can bring tires from Pocono. But no new tires given out today. Use the ones from testing or from Pocono for this afternoon session. Bob?
Already several cars have taken to the Speedway. There is Bill Elliott, and we even have some speeds recorded. Bill with a 169.975. Last year's pole winner was Jeff Gordon at a speed of 176.4.
And Bill Elliott, someone told me, testing up here ran about a 50-90. We saw that 52-90, so that's 2 seconds slower than he ran in practice up here.
Well, 3 drivers have had a top 10 finish in all 3 races, including Bill Elliott, Morgan Shepherd also, and Rusty Wallace. And 3 drivers have led a lap in all 3 previous Brickyard 400s. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, and Bill Elliott. Bobby Hamilton also out there on the racetrack. So it's going to be an interesting couple of hours of practice here. We are here for you. Stay with us. It's practice for the Brickyard 400 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. ESPN2's coverage of practice at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, brought to you by Shell, moving at the speed of life. Several cars out there on the racetrack as we speak. And Benny, what are these guys going to be doing now here in this first practice session? They're going to be simulating qualifying runs. They're going to be setting up for the race. What's going on?
Well, first thing they're going to be doing is figuring out this brand new racetrack that they've come to. They've got to be checking to make sure that the setup, about 90% of these cars tested here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They got to make sure that the setup they left here with is the same one that this new racetrack wants.
So are the guys who did not test here at a significant disadvantage?
Well, no, but the racetrack has changed, so no. As a matter of fact, it's a brand new page, a very clean page right now. They're just starting over.
All right, well, it's Jeff Gordon who is out there on the racetrack. He, of course, was the winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400 and is the pole winner from last year. $1,049,000 in winnings just here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the 3 races that have been held previously.
So Jeff Gordon is bringing his car into the pit area so Ray Evernham and those Rainbow Warriors can swarm over it and make whatever changes that Jeff tells them he thinks he needs.
Jeff was named the Indiana Pro Athlete of the Year award at a function at the Westin Hotel in downtown Indianapolis last night. Charity affair for the March of Dimes. And of course, he wasn't born in Indiana, and he doesn't live in Indiana, but because he lists Pittsboro, Indiana as his hometown, of course, where he grew up, we claim him as a Hoosier. Sterling Marlin is on the racetrack as we go down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, one of the first cars to go on the racetrack and to make his way back in the garage area is Jeff Bodine, driver of the QVC Ford. And Jeffrey, got to ask you, everyone talking about the new ripple strips out in the turns. How do they look to you?
Well, I walked out there and looked at them this morning. Actually, I was here last week when they weren't there. Then I went out and looked at them this morning, and from behind the steering wheel, they look like mountains out there. When I walked out this morning, they didn't look like anything, but they're kind of intimidating, very intimidating, and I like to use that part of the racetrack. I think we were last week testing. So they're a definite obstacle out there we're going to have to deal with.
Well, one of the obstacles you don't have to deal with is the fact that you've got some new partners on board, but you're going to hold off a little bit on an announcement you had scheduled to make this week?
Yeah, we're going to keep everyone guessing a little while longer. You know, lawyers, it takes them a while to put all that paperwork together and get us to sign all that stuff. We haven't done it yet, so we're not going to try to hurry things up. We're going to do things right, and probably about a week and a half we'll make an announcement of who the partners are in this team, but they'll be here this weekend, so you'll probably see them around.
All right, well, keep us guessing. We'll try to see if we can figure out who we see this weekend. There'll be a lot of celebrities around. Let's check in with Bill Weber, who's standing by with Ricky Rudd.
And Ricky Rudd tested here, but you tested before those new rumble strips were put in. Tell us about the effect they may or may not have on the racetrack and the race cars.
Well, Bill, we knew they were coming. The Speedway told us they were going to be putting them in, and they had to do something to keep everybody out of the grass. And we're going to go out and run this practice session here in a few minutes and see what we think. But it's a situation you don't want to hit them. I think they're going to accomplish a goal. They're going to keep you out of the grass. The question is, are they a little bit too close to the racing groove? I'm not really sure. We'll find out in a minute.
If you go in there too wide, the guy on the inside might need that space, and he's probably going to be penalized enough going through the grass.
Well, it's a new situation. Even though it's the same Indy, it is a new track for us, and we're going to have to get used to them, especially in race trim when you are passing. But, you know, last time we were down in the grass to the point that we almost had 4 tires in the grass, and they had to do something. And the staples in the sod was causing tire problems. But they've got the right idea. The only question is do they need to move them 1 foot towards the infield? That's the only thing I've got in the back of my mind.
And when will we see the Tide Ford out on the track?
We're going to wait about another 10 minutes, and we're headed out.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
That's Ricky Rudd.
You and I rode around the track with Ricky this morning and took a look at those rumble strips, and quite frankly, they were a little higher than I thought they would be, and may create some interesting situations here.
They look to be about 2 inches from the asphalt up to the top of the rumble strip, and yes, that is pretty high up. There we see the 27 car. That's Rick Wilson. That's a David Blair Motorsports car. Does he have a sponsor on that car? No.
Looks pretty generic to me.
We need to talk to David. See if we can put Bob and Benny on there.
There you go.
How much do you charge us for that?
Rick Wilson coming back into the pit area down on the entrance lanes to the pit area. So Rick brings her back in once again. Other drivers are making a bid to get their trip around the yard.
And we're down the front stretch once again, 90-degree.
Rich Bickle is here, so is Tim Steele. We just saw Rick Wilson, Ron Barfield, and Jeb Purvis. So some somewhat familiar faces, but not regulars on the Winston Cup circuit, have come here to try to make this race and take home some of that big money.
As you and I walked through the garage area just a moment ago, we saw Ron Barfield and talked to him, and he said he was testing up here and he was running a little bit slow, and Bill Elliott, his car owner, said, "What's the matter? You can't get it going faster." And Barfield said, "Look, I got to get back in my rhythm. It's been about 3 months since I've driven a race car."
Here's Dick Trickle, one of the veterans of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, as he takes a few laps around the race course. 5/8 of a mile down the straightaways here, so when you come off the 4th corner or come off the 2nd corner, you're looking at a lot of racetrack ahead of you, and it looks a lot different now than it will on race day. There are, well, the Speedway has never officially announced how many seats there are here, but people believe it's somewhere between 225 and 275,000, and every single one of them will be filled on race day. But today you're looking at empty grandstands,
and a lot of empty grandstands. A lot of aluminum out there that needs to be filled and will be filled. We see Dick Trickle, 56 seconds, one of his time laps.
And right behind him is Michael Waltrip in the Citgo Ford.
See where Mikey won him a race last weekend? Not a Colorado, the Winston NASCAR Winston West race out there.
Yep.
Kenny Schrader was second. Then Michael won in his car. He and Ronnie Silver took a, I think, Sealy mattress car out there, the one that Ruttman was going to qualify for the Winston and crashed in qualifying. They took that car, fixed it, and Michael Waltrip was the winner last week.
Michael Waltrip is one of those guys who would especially like to win here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He grew up just across the Ohio River down in Kentucky, so he grew up perhaps a little bit closer to this area than a lot of the guys who come from the Southeast. And I know he's been dreaming about racing here and dreaming about winning here for a long time. So certainly Michael Waltrip would like to pull off the victory on Saturday.
Him and 50 other cars.
Well, yeah.
By the way, Bob said 52 cars were here on the grounds, and
well, no, I said 52 were entered. 51 are here on the grounds and will be going for a spot in the field.
Well, then you were right. 52 were entered.
I try to be.
I'm sorry. I was going to get on you for being wrong, but I see you're there. There's Jeff Burton. X-side car pulling in behind Michael Waltrip. Jeff Burton having a great year there.
He really is. The Roush team itself is having a great year, and this is one of the drivers contributing to that. His points position after 18 races this season, 5th. Last season, he was 12th, so an improvement over last year. Well, Dr. Jerry Punch is with the driver who had the distinction of being the pole sitter for the first Brickyard 400 and leading the first lap. Doc?
Well, indeed, Bob, when all this began 4 years ago, when NASCAR decided to come to the Midwest, Rick Mast was the pole sitter. Probably, arguably, one of the biggest moments in your career, sitting on the pole here at the Brickyard 400. Rick, everyone says that that was a surprise, but not to you.
Well, we had tested good that year. You know, we were up here, and I guess a couple times before the race testing, and the car was real fast the whole time. You know, we came back for the race. We basically didn't do anything. A couple little tweaks here and there, and sat on the pole. And then after qualifying, happy hour, all the practices, you know, the car was perfect. I mean, you only get a car to act like it very so often. You know, the car is just everything we wanted to do would do. All during practices, nobody could hang on to us. We started the race on Saturday. I think we came out of the 4th turn of the 2nd lap leading, and I lost a cylinder. You know, so we ran all day on 7 cylinders. That was a big kick in the butt to me. I mean, that was probably, to this point, that's probably the most devastating race I've had, because it still works on me when I think about Indy.
Okay, let's forget about that one, and let's move to the day. Then let's talk about what's going to happen this year. What do you try to learn today? You got a lot of practice today and tomorrow. What do you try to accomplish in this session?
Well, for us personally, we were here last week out testing, I guess, and we worked the whole time we're here on race stuff. You know, we kept the front end open and the whole deal, just racing setups, and felt like we had a pretty good package. The car was pretty quick. The car handled real well. We changed over and started to do some qualifying runs. As soon as we started that, it started raining. You know, so I really don't have a clue as far as what we need to do to qualify. I mean, I do from past experience. This particular car last year with Morgan and Butch, you know, they didn't qualify that well, but they ran real good in the race. I qualified real good last year, but it did okay in the race, you know, so we're kind of mixing stuff together here a little bit. As soon as some of these guys get a little bit more rubber on the racetrack, you get the track more like it's going to be when we qualify, we're going to go out there and try to shake it down and see what we can do.
All right, you lose a cylinder the first lap after qualifying on the pole. It rains on your qualifying setup. Do you not have a rabbit's foot or anything?
No, I don't believe in that stuff, Jerry. The rabbit's foot, four-leaf clovers. I got a whole house. I got a whole room at my house full of that stuff. People send me a good luck charm and all that. I'll try it for a week. It don't work, I'll throw it away. I don't know what we're going to do.
All right, Rick Mast hoping to be able to get back on the front row this year, guys.
Well, while Rick Mast was the pole sitter for the inaugural Brickyard 400, here's the young man who took the checkered flag and played out the Cinderella story, growing up just a few miles from the Speedway and winning the first stock car race here. Jeff Gordon. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and practice for Saturday's Brickyard 400. Dale Earnhardt is on the racetrack. And Dale Earnhardt, of course, is looking to break a long winless streak. And it seems like there have been sort of Cinderella stories been played out here in every race that we have had. How about Dale ending his winless streak with a victory on Saturday?
It seems like every time we come here, you're exactly right. Something happens that is exciting. But, we just watched him go around that corner. I'm a little bit concerned because he really didn't run a good line through the corner. It looks like those strips that they put down is really bothering Dale Earnhardt. But again, maybe he's warming up. I can't really tell if he's fast or slow, and we don't have any times on Dale Earnhardt yet. But it really concerned me the way he came off that corner. those strips might be bothering him a great deal.
Well, I'm sure that it's going to affect a lot of drivers, and seeing how they deal with it is certainly one of the stories that we will be following, and that they will be following at 7 o'clock tonight with host John Kernan and BP RPM tonight. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Wally Dallenbach is going to be a guest. Kenny Irwin from Indianapolis Raceway Park will also be a guest, and of course all the wrap up from here at the Brickyard. And speaking of Indianapolis Raceway Park, tonight, tomorrow night, and Friday night there will be racing. Tonight it's the Thunder Series, and we will have the Silver Crown DuPont 100 for the USAC cars at 9:30 Eastern time. Then tomorrow it's the Cummins 200 race for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at 9 o'clock. Speed Week comes to you from Indianapolis Raceway Park with Dave Despain at 8:30, and then the Kroger 200 NASCAR Busch Series Grand National Division event. That's at 9 o'clock on ESPN. So this is the place to be for all the racing action here in the Indianapolis area until Saturday evening, when we'll wrap it all up. And it looks like Dale Earnhardt is headed toward the pits. We have other NASCAR news that we want to follow here this day and for the next few days. We've had some driver changes, right, Doc?
Exactly, Bob. Brand new race car. It looks like the same car, but it's a brand new Pontiac, and the sponsor R&L Carriers, and there's the brand new driver. We're talking about Mike Wallace. Mike debuting here, so replacing Jerry Daydew in the Richard Jackson car. And Mike, tell us about these laps, the early part of the practice here.
Well, the biggest thing, I haven't been in a Cup car in about a month, and we just need to get reaccustomed to it. I never drove a Pontiac before, and the car drives great. We've had 2 laps of practice. We're just building up to it. We're, you know, I think we got a great opportunity here with R&L Carriers and Richard Jackson's car, and going to make the best of it.
New ride, and also a new crew chief and a new car owner, a whole new operation. Gil Martin coming on board as the crew chief.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just thrilled to death. I don't know much more to say. You know, with Richard, the whole thing come together at the last minute. This right now is a one-race deal here for the Brickyard only, and then hopefully we can carry it on from there. But, you know, I'm just happy to be here in a good race car with a good team that wants to race, got the financial backing to race, and just thrilled to death with it.
I know you were frustrated early in the year. You're with a brand new operation that struggled to be able to get to the racetrack and be able to make the field, and now this has to be quite a boost for you. Of course, Richard Jackson, a longtime car owner, and some of the guys here, I mean, Gil Martin has been around a long time. He helped Brother Kenny for quite a while.
Well, he definitely did, Jerry, and the whole operation, it was a big plus for me. You know, I had, after our early struggles in the first of the year, I went to drive Kenny Schrader's Super Truck, the Pure Later Pure 1 truck, and been running that for a month and having a good time. And I decided I didn't want to just get in a Cup car to be a Winston Cup driver. I wanted to, if the opportunity occurred that I could get in a good car, then I would. And it was just so convenient this opportunity opened up, and we just want to make the best of it. And Richard Jackson's got a great track history. Gil's got a good history of making cars work. And now it's up to me. You know, they've informed me they've sat on a pole here. They qualified 7th and 8th. So we're looking for a top 10 is what myself and the team's looking for.
You got a busy week. You're going to go practice to do some truck racing?
Yeah, we're going to do some truck racing tomorrow. You know, we got to practice here today and then go to practice a little bit again in the morning here at the Brickyard, then go over, practice the truck, come back, qualify, then go back over there and qualify tomorrow afternoon. That's at IRP I'm talking about, and race tomorrow night. I was going to do the Busch race too, but we figured that was just too much and backed out of that for this week.
All right, three races in 3 days, of course, but good luck here in qualifying and for the Brickyard 400.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it very much.
All right, Mike Wallace, the new driver in the car number 1 for Richard Jackson, the new crew chief, of course, Gil Martin. Also some new drivers and new cars over where Bill Weber is standing by.
And Jerry, just a few garage stalls away from where Mike Wallace's new ride is, this is where his old ride lives, the 91 car that Mike was talking about. It is here at Indianapolis. It does not have a sponsor on it. It has Greg Sachs in the car in a race-by-race agreement. Sachs missed a race at Pocono, but they are here at Indianapolis hoping to make the Brickyard 400. So Greg Sachs is in Mike Wallace's old car. Mike Wallace in the 1 car replacing Jerry Nadeau. Just a couple of the driver changes going on this weekend. And by the way, Greg Sachs has his car out on the track. Jerry?
All right, we continue with the NASCAR news of the week. Jeff Green, of course, no surprise there, driving the Cartoon Network machine. But the new surprise, a new addition to the team, I guess, of a week ago, is Wes Ward. And, hey, Jeff, I got to ask you, you guys have worked together in the Busch Series, very, very successful. You had to be pleased to know that Wes was coming back.
Ain't he cute? It's a great feeling to even Wes give us the opportunity to have him back. And think it's great things coming. I think we've got a great car for here. With his knowledge and advisement during the race, I think it'll help me a ton. So we're looking forward to Saturday.
Wes, how about it? I know Gary Bechtel and the team were excited to be able to have you back. With what you did in the Busch Series, how difficult is it for you to be able to come in the Winston Cup sort of cold and have the responsibility of this whole team?
Well, it's only what you make of it, Jerry. I mean, it's just a bigger pond, a little bigger fish. We're just going to attack it, basically like we did in the Busch. And, Jeff and I's got a good relationship. There was just something missing there. I think both of us was missing, and we're back together. And it's not a big deal, This is the elite. This is it. It's as high as it goes right here as far as stock car racing. This is where I want to be. Biggest thing is we just need to take it slow. We just need to improve week by week, and that's all we can ask for.
All right, Wes Ward taking over for Billy Engel, who did a great job, by the way, for this operation. Got them to where they are today, and Gary Bechtel said it was time to make a change. Engel out, and Wes Ward came in, and maybe now Wes can take over with what Engel has accomplished and move on to another level with Jeff Green. How about some old faces in new places? Let's go to Bill Weber.
Hey, Jerry, Bobby Hillin doesn't have an old face, a familiar face in a new place. You got yourself a new ride here and qualified 5th at the Brickyard a year ago.
Well, that's right. I really love racing the Brickyard here. Qualified well last year and unfortunately lost the car on Saturday, so had to start in the back. And with a new team with Haynes and a good bunch of people, Larry Wallace doing the motors, and these guys, if there's anybody that's shown perseverance, this team has showed perseverance. And so, we're looking to try to get things going here. This will be our second race together, and just, taking it one step at a time, trying to get to know each other, feel what each other likes, and hopefully come Saturday we'll be a contender.
You're about to go out on the track, but this team did test here with Billy Standridge. Is that correct?
From my understanding, they tested. They ran pretty well. They're pretty happy with their car. We've got some other things that we want to try. But we've been hearing a lot of different stuff teams are doing, and we're going to really use this whole day as just a pure test session, try complete different setups, and then hopefully come in here in the morning with a game plan and knowing what we want to do and not have to run too many laps in the morning.
Okay, get to work.
Okay, thank you.
That's Bobby Hillin looking to qualify well here tomorrow for the Brickyard 400.
So Hillin awaits going out onto the racetrack. Meanwhile, there are still several cars out there getting in some laps. There is Kenny Schrader in the number 33 car, one of the drivers who competed here in the Indianapolis area in open wheel cars for many years before making the transition to the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. And Kyle Petty is also out there. And the thing I always think about when I think of Kyle Petty in Indianapolis was when he came here for the test that they had before the first Brickyard 400. He brought his video camera and was taking more shots of this place around here than the place was taking of him.
Is that the same time that he videoed his victory in Pocono that year? Or is that?
Yeah, I think that's right. He must have got a new camera for Christmas or something. Huh? Ted Musgrave has just come off the pace and has gone on to the entrance to the pit area. So Ted will be in to make some adjustments to those cars. We will review the times and the speeds here for you, and maybe a bit of a surprise here, huh? The 75 car of Rick Mast is fast, so the initial pole sitter may be in a position to win 2 pole positions.
Well, Lake Speed, that was showing the second fastest time, did run awfully good in practice up here, and that's no surprise. Nemechek, front row Joe, up in 3rd spot, and Skinner and Rudd round out the top 5.
And then Dale Jarrett, the defending champion of the Brickyard 400. Labonte, Mayfield, Andretti, and Irvin complete the top 10. We'll take a break and be back with more of our live coverage of practice for the Brickyard 400. Once again, Jeff Gordon completes a few laps and pulls back into the pit area here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We are live for Brickyard 400 practice, qualifying set for tomorrow. And we welcome those of you watching ESPN News. We are here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. The temperature only expected in the low 80s today. And practice continues throughout the afternoon. First round qualifying is tomorrow. Here are the speeds that have been achieved so far in this practice session, which has been underway for a little over a half hour. Kenny Schrader has moved to the top of the list.
And we saw Jeff Gordon coming in after his run. He is currently 4th fastest in practice this afternoon. And Rick Wilson back in 15th spot.
Bill Weber has a report on the first casualty of this session.
Well, that happened even before the car got on the racetrack, and Robbie Gordon's luck has not been very good this year. And as they were driving the transporter here to Indianapolis, this Coors machine broke loose from its hold, and they actually crashed in the transporter, and they had to replace the nose of the car here this morning before they even went out. And Robbie's standing here with me now at the back of the car as they time the engine. You've had some pretty bad luck, but that's about as bad as it gets, your car wrecking in the transporter.
Maybe this is a sign that things are going to get better. You know, it happened before we got to the track, so we're getting closer to getting rid of the luck.
This place owed you a little bit. You had a great car here for the Indy 500.
We had a really, really good car here at Indy 500. I think with our testing speeds we did down here, we were one of the quickest cars testing, so we'll see tomorrow when it counts.
Okay, you going out here in a minute?
Yeah, we're going to go out and just give her a quick shakedown.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks.
So a little bit of bad luck even before Robbie Gordon got to the track, let alone out on it. Hopefully all his bad luck is out of the way.
It's something that you don't hear of every race, is it?
No.
Wrecking on the trailer.
Is that the 95 car? Ed Barrier driving for Sadler Brothers out of Nashville, Tennessee. Unsponsored car. And a pretty good lap. I saw him just a moment ago, about 16th fastest so far.
Yep, 171.811. Again, the record speed, one-lap speed for this racetrack in a Winston Cup car is 176.419. That was achieved by Jeff Gordon last year when he took the pole position. Looks like Ed is coming into the pits. 51 cars are here and will attempt to make the field, and there are 42 spots open and 43 if we have a previous champion that did not make the race. He could take that 43rd spot, but for all practical purposes 42, so there are going to be a lot of guys, Benny, that pack up and leave after Friday afternoon.
And I tell you what, I never was in that situation, but that has to be the worst possible feeling on the face of the earth that can happen to a race car driver. Come to the racetrack all pumped up about running the Brickyard 400 and have to load up and go home. Can you imagine?
I can't imagine pulling out of this place and looking back on it and saying, gee, I almost made the field, but unfortunately I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, that would be about as bad as it gets.
Yep, sure would. Well, it's a fun time here in Indianapolis. There's a lot of confrontation and a lot of conversation going on back in the garage area. Dale Jarrett is talking with Mark Martin about who knows.
I bet they're talking about the IROC race last Sunday in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And what Mark is going to do with all that money he won last week. Weber, what are they talking about?
Get your mic in there. Let's find out.
Hey, I don't have to put my mic in there. I was listening, and DJ was going, you know what? I'm the defending champion of the Brickyard 400. And Mark said, yeah, you know, I just won the IROC championship. So we'll stay here on ESPN2, and let's send our news viewers back to ESPN studios. And of course, both these guys are driving Fords here, and they might be sharing some information about that. But looks like a very lighthearted discussion. Dale Jarrett, the defending champ of the Brickyard 400, and Mark Martin, who won his third IROC championship last weekend at Michigan. So they might have a little racing knowledge they can share with one another. Jerry?
Well, they're sharing some racing knowledge here in the Texaco Haviland pits. Robert Yates' car, Raymond Fox talking to driver Ernie Irvan. You talk about a guy who's come oh so close here twice. Remember the first Brickyard 400? Ernie Irvan was leading with just a handful of laps to go and cut a tire, and Jeff Gordon went on to win it. Last year, Ernie, you came from far back in the pack to finish second. This place, you must think, owes you one.
I don't think anybody owes me anything, but you know, we had a good car last year, and the year before, it was 2 years before because I didn't get to run the year before. You know, we think that that we've got a good car again this year, and we're hoping to be able to do it. You know, gotta say, hope my mom gets well. Thanks.
All right, Ernie, very emotional. Obviously, his thoughts are far from what's happening here right now. An illness in his family involving his mother, and he wanted to be able to talk to her and tell her how he felt, but obviously emotions taken hold. What a difficult day for these drivers. The opening of the Brickyard 400, but his thoughts and his heart are far, far away. Bob?
And certainly our prayers will be with Ernie and his family in the next few days. Well, of course, Ernie will not be back with that team next year. One of the names mentioned as a replacement possibly Kenny Irwin Jr. And Mike Wallace mentioned that he wanted to try to make all 3 races at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Well, Kenny Irwin Jr. is going to try to make all 3. And again, we remind you what those 3 races are. Begins tonight, the Silver Crown Series, the DuPont 100 at 9:30 here on the Deuce. Tomorrow, the Cummins 200 for the NASCAR Craftsman Trucks at 9:30 on the Deuce. And then the NASCAR Busch Series Kroger 200 at 9 o'clock on ESPN on Friday. Back in a moment. Well, on Saturday, as we prepare for the Brickyard 400, it'll be NASCAR on the grid. That's at noon Eastern time on ESPN. That will be followed immediately by our live coverage. I say our, the announcers will be over on our sister network, ABC, for live coverage of the 4th annual Brickyard 400. So we hope you'll be with us for all the play-by-play and the lap-by-lap coverage.
You and I might be on ABC, but we'll certainly be no more pretty than we are on ESPN, will we?
And a lot of people are saying, thank goodness. Huh?
Thank goodness for that, yes.
Okay, well, a lot of activity going on in the city of Indianapolis and surrounding area, but the center of attention is here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as this practice session continues. I think Kenny Schrader is still at the top of the list, but on the racetrack we have other activity, and this is the 29 car.
Jeff Green, we talked to him just a moment ago. He and Wes Ward. That's the Cartoon Network Chevrolet. Gary Bechtel's team, Diamond Ridge. And looks like he's coming into the pit area.
We haven't
16th fastest so far.
Most of these guys are just doing 2-3 laps, it seems like, and then coming in. Nobody out there for a very long run at the moment.
So they're working on their qualifying setup, just running a couple of laps at a time. If they go out there and run about 10 laps in a row, then they're working on race setup.
Okay, let's go back to Dr. Jerry Punch with more on Ernie Irvan and his thoughts during this week.
We wanted Ernie to be able to tell you himself because he wanted to be able to tell you, but his mother, Jo Irvan, is comatose and on a ventilator in a hospital in Concord, North Carolina. She's listed in extremely critical condition. She had a ruptured ulcer that, and her condition deteriorated very rapidly from that. And of course, Ernie Irvan would like to be there with his mom and with the family. He is forced to be here right now in the race car, but obviously, as Ernie would say a moment ago, through the tears and through the emotion, his mind and his heart is back in Concord with his mother. His body is here in the race car. But all of our prayers and best wishes go out to you, the Irvan family, as you sit by the bedside and hopefully pull her through. Let's go to Dale Jarrett, who's standing by with Bill Weber.
And obviously the thoughts of this team also go to Ernie Irvan's mother. And I'm with Dale Jarrett, the defending champ, and that's obviously something you guys, your prayers are going to Ernie's mom as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's very unfortunate, and our thoughts right now just with Ernie and Vic and everybody, Susan, everybody in the family, and just hope that we can have another miracle for this family and things can go better. But it's got to be difficult for Ernie to have to be here knowing he has a job to do, but you know, our thoughts and prayers are with him. We hope that everybody else out there will say a prayer for him.
And of course the work must go on. You're here to defend a championship, and I know you walked in here this morning feeling pretty proud. I'm the defending champion of Indianapolis.
Well, it is a great feeling certainly to be here, knowing that you've won the race here and you know how to do it. And you know, there's only 3 of us that can say that right now, and we would like to be the first one to be able to say it twice.
And same car? No.
No, brand new race car here. We brought it here to test last week, and it was considerably better through the corners, had a better feel, and we did some things with this car that we thought should make it better here, and hopefully they will, and it'll pay off in the long run.
And your dad on the mend won't be able to join us this week, watching at home, and I'm sure critiquing, DJ.
Yeah, definitely. He's there, and I want to say hello to him and my mom, who are keeping Kelly and I's 3 kids, so he's not exactly taking it easy, probably as easy as he should, but he had hernia surgery last 2 weeks ago, I guess, and it's bothered him a little bit more than what he anticipated, so he decided to take the weekend off and see if he can get better and get back to us real soon.
So he's watching. Are you doing your race setup or your qualifying setup here?
We're still pretty much in a qualifying type deal. You know, we didn't get as much practice when we came here to test as what we wanted because of the new pavement and And on top of that, the rain hindered us some. So we're still in that type of situation. Not our qualifying engine yet, but an engine that we can run some laps this afternoon and hopefully get us a little better starting spot than the 24th I had last year.
But that worked out okay.
It worked out okay, and if I knew that I could start 24th or last and win, I would be okay.
Okay, they just closed the hood. You might have to go to work. Good luck, DJ.
All right, thanks.
All right, Dale Jarrett, we'll save. There was a really nice article in today's Indianapolis paper about the 3 generations of race drivers in the Jarrett family, Ned, Dale, and Jason. So we'll save that for you, Ned. And by the way, we wish you were here.
Yes.
The 26 car, the one you see up there on the far right of your screen, just pulling out, is one that you may not be too familiar with. This is the car driven by Rich Bickle.
This is Darrell Waltrip's car. You know, Rich Bickle is Darrell's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series driver, and they a deal with KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, this weekend. Rich Bickle is going to try to qualify and race in the Brickyard 400. Kenny Irwin is going to try to drive a NASCAR Busch Series car for Darrell Waltrip in the Friday night race, and Mike Skinner is going to attempt to run a NASCAR Craftsman truck tomorrow night for Darrell Waltrip. So he has 3 cars going this weekend, all for Kentucky Fried Chicken, a new program, a new sandwich or something, a new product that they have called the Twister.
The Twister, I think it's a pita sandwich that you see at a lot of fast food restaurants now. So that is who is sponsoring Rich Bickle as he pulls back into the garage area. All right, well, let's take another break. Be back in just a moment as we continue our coverage here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Here's a review of some of the top speeds that have been achieved so far in this practice session here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Ken Schrader is on top in the 33 car, 174.1, and Dale Earnhardt, Benny, just moved up into contention.
Yeah, his 7th spot. This was just before Earnhardt ran that lap. He just completed it and moved into 7th spot. So looks like Earnhardt does have a car that is capable of winning the Brickyard 400.
Yes, indeed. Jeff Bodine is 17th at the moment. He was 28th there. You can see before that lap just completed that we could not get on the graphic here. He was 28th, but has now moved up to 7th position.
Up to 173.5 miles per hour.
Yep.
As a matter of fact.
Well, RCA, of course, is headquartered here in Indianapolis. And not only that, this driver used to live here and ran at the Indy 500 for many years. What a story it would be if he could win here, just like he did at the Pepsi 400 at Daytona. We're talking, of course, about John Andretti.
And just ran the 8th fastest time. Just completed the 8th fastest time, did Andretti. As he blows by our speed shot.
There it is, 51.929 seconds, 173.314. He's coming in too.
And they're all working up to that speed. It looks, you know, they talked about 51 flat being the speed to sit on the pole. They're all working their way up there. He missed the pit road, didn't he?
Yeah, there's an entrance off of turn 3, and there's an entrance here in the short chute, and there's also an entrance coming off turn 4. He's chosen the one between turns 3 and 4 there in the short chute. So John Andretti comes in as we continue to keep you abreast of everything that's going on around the yard. Jerry?
All right, in the back side of the garage area, back in the B garage, are not some of the beginners, but some of the newer names, the newer faces that are coming into Winston Cup racing. We're talking about a B. We're talking about Rich Bickle here in the KFC car. We just saw you come in a moment ago, Rich. A great opportunity for you to make, hopefully, your first Winston Cup start of the year.
Well, it's nice. You know, it's nice to get back here after making the first 2 Brickyards, to come back and getting equipment that Darrell's offered me here for this race. It's very exciting. We're running pretty decent. You know, we're just doing a little fine-tuning here, and we'll get better this afternoon. Hopefully put this thing in the field tomorrow afternoon.
All right, plans to run 5 this year in this car and next year, 1998?
Well, the biggest thing right now is that we're working on a truck deal. That's our #1 priority, and try to win the championship for the diehard people. But the KFC people come on board with us just for this race, and if we do good, I think they might come with us maybe a couple more races. And we like to run up to 5 this year, not because of the rookie thing, but that's all we have time for. And next season, drive the full season for Darrell.
All right, Rich, we'll let you get back to work. Rich Bickle, very busy, going to be in the truck series. We'll show you over to my right some of the new names. There's Rick Wilson, the car number 27, among the quicker cars in practice here, driving in that car number 27. He is sixth overall in practice and qualifying. Now we'll walk down the line and show you some of the other cars that are here in this back part of the garage. Jeff Purvis bringing a brand new Chevrolet here. He is not in the car number 1. He formerly drove for James Finch. It's a brand new Chevrolet car number 12. There is Jeff Purvis and some of the crew there as they talk about what they need to get the car in the field here at the Brickyard 400. And as we move down beside Purvis, the protege, you might call him the protege for Bill Elliott. We're talking about a young man, Ron Barfield, brings the New Holland colors. Barfield been driving the New Holland Ford in the Busch Grand National Series, here to try to make the Brickyard 400 for the second time. He tried it a year ago. Here driving a car owned by Bill Elliott with an Ernie Elliott engine on board. There's Barfield sitting in the car, getting ready to get this car back on the track for more practice. And down beside Barfield is a man who you saw last Saturday on ESPN from Michigan Speedway. He is the defending and two-time ARCA Series champion, driving the HS Dye Ford, Tim Steele, and he is 28th quickest right now. It is not the number 16 you normally see. It is the number 61 in Winston Cup. And Tim, your first shot at a Winston Cup ride in 1997. How have the laps been so far?
Not too bad. You know, Ernie, when we were here testing, we came here with a dog motor, basically, and now we got a good motor in this thing. We just got to do a little bit of adjusting. But, you know, I think we're running pretty decent right now, about mid-pack, I'd say. But we've got a lot left in it, too. You know, we're still on old tires, and I think we should be in good shape.
You brought your favorite car, a Gator, you call it, won 11 of the 14 Super Speedway events you won in ARCA. Now, how much of a jump is it for you to bring this car from what you've been running it in ARCA to Winston Cup?
Really, it's no jump. You know, we've been going at a disadvantage in the ARCA, being as, you know, we're trying to go to Winston Cup, and this thing rolled through Winston Cup Tech today. You know, it went through the first time. Maybe we're doing things a little bit too right if it went through the first time.
Well, you got through pretty easy. Now, let me ask you about the track itself here, the rumble strips in particular. A lot of people talking about those little bumps. They call them little bumps, but they look a little bit bigger from behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, they do, you know, but I was warned when we came up here and tested that they were going to put those in, and, you know, we stayed away from there, so it's not really affecting the line that I learned, you know, when we were down here testing. So, you know, they're there. I'd hate to get into them and hit them. I'd hate to see what it would do to your race car after you hit those. Imagine it upset it quite a bit, but it's not really affecting the line that I learned how to go around here at, 'cause like I said, I was warned that they were going to be there, and it's not hurting us at all.
We're talking about breaking news for this year and next coming up in NASCAR. Are you prepared to make any announcement as to what you're going to do in 1998? I know your dad, as we speak today, is meeting with some very important people that could have an impact on your future.
Well, we're going racing next year. I can't really say what. You know, I'm hoping it's Winston Cup racing full time. You know, we need that big sponsor, and that's all we're lacking right now. We got a good bunch of guys, and, you know, with a sponsor, then we can get some more good guys and go racing. You know, I think hopefully we'll prove a lot this weekend.
All right, Tim Steele hoping to make his first NASCAR Winston Cup start of the 1997 season. Word is, guys, that they have a handshake agreement to be able to run for Rookie of the Year in 1998. That announcement could be forthcoming in about a week or a week and a half.
Well, good. We hope that situation works out. Well, you can see an engine change is underway in the Hut Strickland garage area. We'll have more on that in just a minute. And there is also work going on in the Dale Earnhardt garage area. So we'll follow those stories and more when we come back to Indianapolis. Well, there's the very historic Gasoline Alley sign that hangs over the garage area here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And just east of this facility is downtown Indianapolis. And there you can take a look at the skyline of the great city. We are west of downtown.
Someplace down there is my home away from home.
Yeah?
One of those buildings. I don't know which one it is, though.
Well, it's hard to believe, but football season is upon us, at least preseason. It kicks off tomorrow night on ESPN with the Patriots taking on the Packers in a rematch of Super Bowl 31. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. And the Indianapolis Colts also have a preseason game here this weekend. Bill Weber is down in the Dale Earnhardt garage area.
And Dale Earnhardt has been out on the track, now sitting here, I guess you could say sort of relaxing. How are you?
Well, just relaxed. It's about the same as last year, except I'm not hurting as bad. Last year I was like, oh, but car's running great. We're just sort of going through a few little things we wanted to, you know, just reassure ourselves we were the right way with gear, you know, things like that. we've got the Pocono tire on, running some good times. So we bolt on the Indy tire, I think we'd be a lot faster, and I think we'll be comfortable.
Currently 9th on the practice sheet. Dale, you really didn't get a chance to defend last year, did you?
Well, not really, and we had an awful good race car too, and Mike Skinner done a great job never racing here and coming in and subbing for us. He did a good job, kept the car out of trouble, finished the race, held on some points, you know. So it would be great to get in here and be able to race them this year, but one of the problems I have is Mike Skinner's running as good or better than I am this year. He's got a car too, so we're going to race them, and I feel good about this racetrack and this, you know, this race is it's really a race that you got to use your head a little bit in, and track position means everything, good pit stops and all that. So there's a lot of things you can do during the day to really help yourself. There's a lot of things you can do to hurt yourself.
Do you see those rumble strips down there?
Yeah, they're down there where they're supposed to be. They're not in the racetrack. That's good.
Not a factor.
Not unless you want to race down there in the grass.
Well, you've been to the grass with some pretty bold moves, but not here, huh?
No, we're going to stay out of the grass, and they done a good job of the racetrack, and you know, trying to put something down to keep from tearing the dirt up. And you know, we've talked about different things over the years here, and Tony, they finally come up with that. So it's down there out of the way, and it keeps everybody out from down there, so that's good.
Okay, these guys tested here a lot, and it's no secret Dale hasn't been to victory lane in a while, but this would be quite a place to snap that winless streak. Dr. Punch.
See that big hole right there we're showing you? That's not good. That's not what you need. That's where the engine's supposed to go. That's the engine. That was the race car, the Circuit City Ford of Hut Strickland. And these guys are just scurrying. Looks like a Disney movie, like the little ones have just come out of the woodwork and are working all around the engine. Yeah, that's Hut Strickland there working on the engine. Richard Broom, the team manager at the Hut's right there, working on the engine, trying to get it put back in the car. It is their in-house motor that Eddie Middleton had built for them. Let's see if we can sneak in and find out what's going on. That's Eddie Middleton you're looking at there with the speed wrench right across from our camera. That's Eddie trying to get some of the intake off. Hut, we can get in here for a second. Hut, what happened to the motor?
Well, really not for sure. We was, for some reason or another, was spitting a lot of water out the overflow. I think it must have either blew a head gasket or cracked a head or something. But it's one of the things, it's a typical year we're having with the Circuit City team. You know, we're struggling right now, but hopefully we'll get all our bad luck out of the way here for Saturday at least.
How much did you get to run prior to this happening? Did you get some laps on the track?
No, we never made a complete lap. You know, we in and out 2 or 3 times, and you know, just we thought maybe you know, bottom hose or something had stopped up on us or something like that, but it just wasn't nothing that simple.
All right, we'll let you get back to work. Hut Strickland, Eddie Middleton takes the intake off. They have this backup engine here prepared. The crew, now one crew working on that engine. Now watch Middleton will come over and put the intake on. He's putting the intake right on the plate, and here comes Hut Strickland with some of the intake bolts as they will get ready to put this on, slap a carburetor on it, and hopefully in the next maybe 40 to 45 minutes they'll be able to get the Circuit City Ford back on the racetrack, because as you said, they have not had a very good year, and they would like to be able to turn it around in this race here, which has a purse of about $4.5 million.
Used to, you could change engines during the race. Remember Junior Johnson? They had that down to a fine science. They could change engines in about 15 minutes. But obviously, they didn't change all the accessories that they're changing intake manifolds. Junior would just snatch an engine out and put another one in it with all the exhaust system, with the carburetor, the intake manifold, all those pieces on there. But, you know, there's no sense of that urgency right now because there's 4 hours left this afternoon. And again, there'll be 3 hours of practice in the morning for these cars.
Before qualifying, Hut's best finish, by the way, here at the Brickyard 400 was last year when he finished 18th. Jeff Gordon has come back into his garage area, conferring with the team members about his progress on the Speedway. Back in a moment. Well, there is the defending champion of the Brickyard 400, Dale Jarrett, taking some laps around the racetrack, and looks like the Fords are predominating here in this practice session. 6 of the top 10 are Fords, and Lake Speed has moved up to the top of the charge. And speaking of Ford, it's going to happen next year when the Thunderbird goes away, Benny.
We're going to find out. We're going to find out tonight, as a matter of fact. Ford has an announcement tonight here in Indianapolis that will tell us what they're going to race next year.
Hey, well, Dale Jarrett, you can see there, is currently 12th. Speculation is the Taurus. Is that the choice?
That's what I keep hearing. All the riders that are writing about this say it's the worst kept secret in auto racing that Ford is going to run a Taurus next year. But trust me, Most of these teams will have a Ford Thunderbird sitting in their garage ready.
Right.
Just ready to run the Daytona 500 in case they get there and have problems.
Yeah. It is going to be interesting to see what that new Taurus looks like. But the Thunderbird is the dominant car here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway so far as speeds are concerned. Doc, how about a check-in with the Chevy teams?
Well, what you're watching right now is a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of a planning session between Richard Childress, who owns the car, of Mike Skinner to the left of your screen, and Kevin Hamlin, who's the crew chief to the right side. So if they can walk in here and chat for a second. You guys still talking about how good things went for you up at Pocono, Pennsylvania, coming off that great run, Mike?
No, actually, we was talking about what a shame it was that Jay Sauter run out of gas the other day. He had everybody covered with a truck race, and really felt bad for Jay. He should have won that race.
All right, you come here as a rookie, and yet last year you ran 153 of 160 laps, subbing for your injured teammate, and did a whale of a job, finishing 15th.
Well, we really like this place. We seem to be adjusting to these flat racetracks pretty good, and I really love this place. And we got I think we got a better car than we had last year. So we just got to keep on working on this low Chevy, and hopefully we can get it competitive for this weekend.
What did you learn as the race progressed a year ago? A lot of people were saying, well, how can you throw Mike Skinner in a car here in the middle of the Brickyard 400, one of the biggest events of the year, but you did a heck of a job. What did you learn about this racetrack as the day progresses?
I don't know. I think Richard was pushing me off the end of the boat, see if I could swim or not.
Was it sink or swim, RC? You were putting him in the car. So, okay, now, sink or swim. My number one guy, Earnhardt's hurt. He can't be in the car. It's your turn.
Well, you know, we knew what we had planned for this season. You know, Mike coming full-time. We knew it'd give him some time. And everybody on the team, the 3 team last year, had the confidence to put him in. And he did a great job for us. And, you know, if we hadn't have made that call at the end of the race and took on 2 tires, he'd have probably been 4th or 5th. So, you know, this time we're going to be up there racing for it.
All right, the strong effort for the Richard Childress team. You heard Dale Earnhardt a moment ago say, my teammate Mike Skinner's running better than I am here. So look for a strong effort from these 2 guys come qualifying tomorrow afternoon.
Jeff Gordon leads the overall point standings, but if you were to consider just the super speedway points that have been accumulated, Jeff Burton would be on the top of that list, with Martin second, Gordon third, followed by Earnhardt and Terry Labonte. Jeff Burton, we'll talk with him when we come back. So far, he is the 16th fastest in this practice session. Stay with us. With just a little over an hour of practice in here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on this first day of practice, look who's at the top of the speed chart, BP.
I told you that he ran well here and had practice good. I told you. Lake speed was running good, 176.142.
And that's near the record, Benny. 176.419 is a record, so he's close to the fastest lap ever turned in here.
And check it out, he's got Delta Faucet for a sponsor. Attaboy, Lake. I hope that's a year-long deal.
Here's Jerry Punch.
Let's find out. Benny was talking about, you got Delta faucets on the side of the car. Is that a one-race deal, or are they going to come on board for a long time?
No, it's a one-race deal. We've had Delta faucets on the car. This will be the 3rd year in a row up here, since they have a really heavy presence here in Indianapolis. Their corporate offices are here in Indy, and then they're also involved with the IRL series. You remember their car won the Indy 500 last year and won in Charlotte last weekend. So hopefully we'll come back here and be able to win a race for them here in their backyard as well on the Brickyard 400.
Well, without a major sponsor yet, you are the fastest car in practice thus far for the afternoon. When are people going to realize that they need to jump on board and sponsor this car? This is a very, very good race team.
There's no question that we have a good race team, and we have the knowledge and know-how. All we need is the funding to be able to do it on a regular basis and add the depth in the program that it needs. But I don't know. Ray Charles can see it, but it doesn't seem like anybody else can. Sometimes I get to looking in the mirror and wondering what's going on.
Without a sponsor, what are the plans for the rest of 97? Will you be able to run the rest of the season?
The way the plans are right now, we'll run 5 more races, this being one of the 5 races till the end of the year. And then we're trying to, hopefully we'll have something here nailed down for too very long for a full deal next year.
All right, Lake Speed currently the quickest in practice thus far. No surprise, remember last year here he qualified this very same race car inside of row 2 in 3rd, but they still need a sponsor to finish the year.
Delta Faucets, of course, who are on Duddy Lazier's winning car at Indianapolis 2 years ago. So what is a super speedway, BP?
Well, that's my question exactly. You keep saying this stuff. Look there, 97 super speedway points. So what is a super speedway?
Everybody knows that NASCAR divides their tracks into short tracks and super speedways, and everything a mile or above is a super speedway.
So that's Jeff Burton's points for 1 mile and above.
That is correct.
Thank you very much. Please clarify next time you say put something like that up.
Yes, Mr. Parsons. Weber, help me out here.
My pleasure, Bob. The Exide Ford sits down here in the garage. Jeff Burton has been out on the track a couple of times, talking it over with a couple of members of his crew. And we'll just lean in here. And obviously, you've had tremendous success. 2 big wins this year. How's your car running here so far?
We unloaded and we thought we were going to be real good off our test. And since we tested, they had to repave some of the racetrack and they had to put some lime down. We didn't unload very good. So
never easy, is it?
No, it's not. It's never. And I guess that's the way it ought to be. You know, everybody's in the same boat. Everybody has the same conditions to run on. The track's fine. It's just that it's different than it was when we tested.
So it's up to the driver to tell him to fix the car, right?
I'm telling him to fix it. It's just hard to fix it. I don't know. I think, you know, Indy's always been a place where somebody special can go sit on the pole. You know, somebody that maybe doesn't always sit on the pole. And I think you'll see that here this week. I think you'll see some guys that have qualified well that always qualify well. And you'll see a few guys that don't generally qualify well. They'll hit great laps. I don't know why this place is like that, but it makes it a little bit exciting anyway.
From the breaking news department, on your deck lid, which is currently bare, will be a new decal for the Carolina Hurricanes, the NHL team of which you are a spokesperson for?
Imagine that. They must have seen me drive. They figure, you know, this is kind of rough, hockey's kind of rough, so I'm excited about it. I think it's something neat that we're bringing NHL hockey to the Carolinas, and I'm proud to be a part of it. We got a lot of hockey fans. The teams, you know, a lot of the teams from Michigan, so we got a lot of hockey fans that came down, and it's going to be an exciting deal for our team.
Can you explain that new delayed offside call that they had last season? Because I thought it was very controversial, and I never really liked it.
Well, we'll discuss it off the air. You know, now that I'm a spokesperson for one of the NHL teams, I have to be very political in what I say, and have to use a lot of forethought, and don't want to put those guys in a bad spot.
Okay, we'll hold that thought. I think these guys.
In other words, I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll talk it over. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
That's Jeff Burton. A couple of big wins this year, including the first win at the new Texas Motor Speedway in Dallas-Fort Worth.
In other words, Weber, he didn't have a clue what you were talking
about. That's exactly what I was going to say.
I don't think so.
He has no clue as to what a delayed offside is. Well, there is Hut Strickland's engine that they have taken out, and a new one is going in the car, and probably before too long, Hut will be in the machine and on to the 2.5 miles oval. The Hall of Fame Museum here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, located between turns 1 and 2. Back in a moment. John Kernan has RPM tonight from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on this very set at 7 o'clock tonight. Then we'll go to Indianapolis Raceway Park. Myself, Dave Despain, and Larry Rice has the Thunder telecast, the Silver Crown DuPont 100 from IRP. Tomorrow, we'll be on the air on ESPN at 2:30 Eastern with first round qualifying, and then it'll continue on the Deuce at 4 o'clock Eastern.
And tell them what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night, Bob, after RPM tonight at 7 o'clock with John Kernan.
You will be with Dave Despain, huh?
Yes, sir. At the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Cummins 200, live, 9:30 Eastern on ESPN2.
And then Friday, the second round qualifying here on the Deuce at 2 o'clock Eastern. And then there's a race at Indianapolis Raceway Park on Friday night. That is the Kroger 200 Busch Grand National event. That's at 9 o'clock, but there is more before that because we have RPM tonight, Friday night. The 7:30 to 8:30 program that you and I have here at the Speedway, and then Speed Week with Dave Despain at 8:30.
That a boy. Keep telling what we're going to be doing. Folks, we got a lot of work this week. Paycheck's going to be big, real big this week.
You mean you get overtime for all this?
Of course I do. Don't you get it?
I got to get a better deal, you know. The Brickyard 400, of course, all of this leads up to the Biggie, and Benny and I will be in the booth for that, along with Bill and Jerry and Jack Arute. RPM tonight wraps it all up on Saturday night at 11:30. So we begins it all, I should say, at 11:30. So just a heck of a lot going on here in Indianapolis.
What is that? Is that the Colonel?
That is the Colonel, BP.
That's the biggest Colonel I've ever seen in my life.
That's Rich Bickle's car that we talked about earlier. Well, Dale Earnhardt looks like is being pushed out of the garage area as he goes back onto the racetrack.
That means that he's going out for a simulated qualifying run. They've cooled the thing down. The water's cold, so they're going to push it down to the garage area, to the end of pit road, so he don't drive it down and get the water too hot. That's what all that means.
By the way, he's 12th on the speed list right now at 173.3. Well, let's check in on the progress being made in the Hut Strickland garage area with Mr. Weber.
Well, Mr. Jenkins, they have the engine in Hut Strickland's car, and I'm very impressed by how hard this team is working. Almost a frantic pace, a happy hour type approach when really they've got almost 2 full hours left to go in this practice session, a lot of time left. But they've got the engine in. Hut is here helping out, and they want to get all the parts hooked up and get this engine ready to go so Hut can get back out on the track and take full advantage of this testing day. We were going to talk to Hut, but he's over with Richard Broom and now looking in the car, and these mechanics doing everything they can to get this engine back in Hut Strickland Circuit City Ford as quickly as possible. Let's see if we can just lean in. How's it going?
Well,
you got it back. You got one new one in.
Well, yeah, we had to put our race engine in. We didn't really want to have to do that, but it's just one of them things. We kind of got behind a little bit and had a little problem, but I'd rather see it happen today than Saturday. So hopefully this will be, like I said earlier, this will be the end of our bad luck for the week.
Okay, get back to work.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Okay, so that's what's going on down here. They want to get that engine tightened up as quickly as possible and then get Hut back out on the track. That is a huge disadvantage, though, to have to drop in their race engine. This is only Wednesday, and the race is until Saturday.
All right, here is Ernie Irvin going out onto the racetrack. He so far is 3rd quickest at 175.067. We'll see if he can up that when we come back to the first practice session for Saturday's Brickyard 400. Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons and Jerry Punch and Bill Weber as we cover this first round of practice for Saturday's Brickyard 400. Ernie Irvin is 3rd on the speed chart right now, 175.067.
You just told him that. Tell him something new. He did not outrun that speed on that lap he just made. That's the news.
I don't know that this is news, but I do remember that Ernie Irvin has run very well here in the 2 Brickyard 400s that he's participated in. Remember the first year?
Oh, do I ever, when his right front tire went flat?
Yes, yes. He was strong and is going to be strong, I'm sure, again this year. Jerry?
Well, what you're looking at is Jesse James. No, that's not the guy sitting on the door. That's the name of the race car here for Kenny Schrader. They named their race cars after why do they name them after people like Jesse James?
Well, they just informed me that this week. The Skull Bandit, so they're using famous bandits, and this is the first one, Jesse James.
Well, that makes sense. Now, let's talk about you. You're not a bandit, but you're a pretty doggone good chauffeur. 2nd quickest right now in practice. Pretty comfortable with the car?
Yeah, really. It's running real good. It's a brand new car. We did come and test it, and we came back a little different than we're testing. We're getting ready to put it back because it just doesn't feel as good as when we tested. So, we're going to see some really fast speeds here this tomorrow, but unfortunately it's going to be out of a whole lot of cars.
It's a brand new race car, but I'm told the crew told you this is your favorite car. You didn't know it, but it's your favorite car.
Well, they tell me that every week. I guess I don't keep good enough track of these cars, and especially when they're numbered. I can remember names, but they're numbered, so I always get in when I get ready to go out. I say, what car is this? And they say, oh, it's your favorite car. And so where did I drive it last? And then they all got quiet on me, so I realized it was that new one. They were lying to me.
As the worm turned, the pendulum swung. I mean, are things coming around for Kenny Schrader?
Well, I think anybody that's watched the last 5 or 6 Winston Cup races, I mean, the whole Skull team's run a lot better. We've been a lot more competitive. We still haven't got the finishes we want for whatever reasons, but it hasn't been from not being competitive. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to the second half and continuing on for a while.
All right, Kenny Schrader, 2nd quickest right now, getting ready to go back out and practice some more. By the way, Schrader driving for Andy Petrie, who owns his team. Petrie was the crew chief for Dale Earnhardt when he won his version, the number 2, the 2nd Brickyard 400. Let's go to Bill Weber.
With Brett Bodine, one of the drivers, one of the teams that did not test here, so this day works to your advantage.
Oh, absolutely, and that's really, kind of what we thought when we looked at our testing schedule. We said, we've got that practice day at Indianapolis, and you just hope that the weather's good and it's a beautiful day here.
Your California car, and it didn't like California a whole lot.
No, it didn't. It didn't run well at all in California. We brought it home. We've redesigned the front suspension. We think we've got something a little better to work with. It's showing a little bit of promise here early. Driver's got to get up to speed yet. This place, it'll take your breath getting down in these corners awfully deep, and I'm just going to get myself up to speed and then start working on the race car.
So you use these 4 hours to find your rhythm today?
Absolutely. This is really a day for the driver, you know, to get himself acclimated to the racetrack. And, you know, I guess from what I've heard, the racetrack's really changed since testing, so maybe we didn't miss out on a whole lot.
And you saved yourself some money.
Absolutely. You know, and at this time of the season, we need to do that.
And briefly, coming off the bench for us on Friday to pinch hit for Ned Jarrett in the booth if you can find a Blazer.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and Alan Bestwick said he'd donate his for me, so I guess I'm in. Put me in, Coach. I'm ready.
Okay, we'll see you there at IRP, and good luck here at the Brickyard.
Thanks.
Okay, Brett Bodine joins our team on Friday, trying to get his team up to speed here today.
Uh-oh. Old DW has run over a cone. Now, where did he find that thing?
Hard to tell.
He's trying to get rid of it. He's backing up. He's turning. Oh, there's a NASCAR official. He'll yank that thing. Oh, I see the cone over there.
Yeah.
He did return the thing back to him after he drug it away. I tell you what, that's not good. The nose of that car is critical there. He might need to go back.
That's right.
And make sure that that front air dam is. You know, Brett Bodine talked about getting the driver up to speed and driving the car off down in the corner. When you talked about Ricky Rudd and yourself and me going for a ride a moment ago, about an hour ago, around the racetrack, and that's what he talked about. Just how far that you have to drive the car down in the corner here at the Brickyard to get that fast lap around the racetrack. He said you believe that there's no way in the world you can drive it that far and make it.
Right.
But you just got to force yourself to do it.
Here's today's trivia question. Who finished second in the inaugural Brickyard 400? Brett Bodine, Benny.
Oh, you were asking me?
Yes, of course.
I knew that.
Oh, okay. I'm not so sure he did. Okay. We'll be back with more live coverage from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in just a moment. ESPN's Major League Baseball Wednesday night doubleheader begins in Cleveland when the Angels meet the Indians. That's at 7:30 Eastern, and then the New York Mets against the San Francisco Giants. That's tonight beginning at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Practice continuing here at the Brickyard. Tomorrow's qualifying session is going to be very, very interesting. You're looking at the driver who will qualify 5th. There were 51 cars that drew for a qualifying chance tomorrow. Jeff Green will be the first. Bobby Hamilton, Ken Schrader, Jeff Purvis, and Jeff Burton are the top 5. Drawing the 48th position out of 51, Dale Earnhardt. So when you join us tomorrow for a live coverage of qualifying, which will start on ESPN and end up on the Deuce, you'll want to stay with us for the entire session because it looks like the drama will go right to the end of the qualifying session. Jeff Burton so far is 5th quick with a lap at 174.778. Another car that has been on the front row many times this year, Joe Nemechek. Dr. Punch is there.
And you're looking at the Bell South Chevrolet, and you talk about qualifying drama tomorrow. Well, Joe Nemechek will be the 50th car to go out to qualify, and teammate Robbie Gordon goes out 49th. And let's talk the front row, Joe. Joe, 3 of the last 5 weeks you've been on the front row with either 2 poles or a second. Got a rhythm going.
I hope we do. I hope it continues here at Indy. This is a pretty good payday for the pole here. Can't say enough for this whole crew. Tony Glover, we killed our good car at Pocono, and it's getting fixed right now. So this is another one identical to it, and it runs just as good. So hopefully we'll have the same luck with this car as we did the other one. But we're ready to go.
You've run some awfully quick laps in practice. You got out of the car a moment ago. We're looking at the television screen, watching some of the other cars practice. What are you looking at? Lines?
Well, what's really interesting is you can look at the attitude of how far the nose is up off the ground going down the straightaway, and also when they get in the corner, the car will set down and roll over. So you can tell how much people are rolling over. Whenever that left front starts coming up in the air or the nose is up going down the straightaway, it's going to be slow. It's whenever you do that, it gets air up underneath the bottom of the car and makes too much drag. So the guys that can keep the nose down low and keep them flat in the corners are going to go fast.
So not only what you feel in the race car, but what you see on the screen by watching practice, you guys can come in, and you and Tony, and talk about making adjustments to the front of the car to stiffen it up a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And whenever you guys do the qualifying at Talladega and Daytona, we watch the qualifying because at Daytona and Talladega, you get the cars down low. And it's kind of similar to that here because the straightaways are so long, but the television plays an important part of how we tune our car.
All right, Joe, good luck to you in qualifying.
Thank you.
Joe Nemechek and the crew will let him go back and watch some more TV. Meanwhile, I think Bill Weber is caught up with an interested observer, someone who's no stranger, Bill, Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And that would be Scott Sharp. Are you a spectator or are you auditioning down here?
No, just spectating right now. Buzz McCall, of course, was my Trans Am owner for many years and now has the David Green machine. So it's nice to get an inside look at this and just see how great sort of the lead of our sport's doing.
Yeah, so, I mean, does this pique your interest?
Certainly. I think it has to. I think it piques everybody's interest, certainly. I mean, it's amazing how this area has grown and is leading all of racing, really. So it's fun to come here, and certainly it's fun to come and watch them at the Brickyard.
Now, last week you were at Charlotte for the IRL race. Obviously, rave reviews from that event.
It was great. I think it was probably one of our best races, and it was great that it came in that kind of time frame. And I think as we get more cars and the teams get more sorted out, it's just going to be better and better.
Now, do you know David Green at all?
I just met him for the first time.
So were you able to help him here at all, or is it just converse? No.
He tested here, I guess, was really quick, so he doesn't need any of my help.
So just spectating, huh?
Yeah, just trying to check it all out.
Okay, we can't start any rumors.
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay, well, good seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's Scott Sharp, who's just spectating down here and hanging out with Buzz McCall, who owns the 95 car that David Green just took out on the track, and that'd be the 96 car.
He was the color commentator on the television coverage of that IRL race at Charlotte last week in the Visionaire 500, which was a really, really good race. There is Robbie Gordon as he is on the racetrack.
Wow, did he come up close to that wall. And you see that black nose? If you just joined the telecast, one of the guys down the pits reported that the car came loose in the transporter coming up here and banged the nose up, had to replace inside the truck, the transporter.
Best lap for Robbie Gordon, 172.447. He is 26th on the chart right at the moment. Well, Hut Strickland is still working on his car. They're trying to get that new engine in it. We'll check the progress when we come back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for Brickyard 400 practice. Sterling Marlin in the Kodak Chevy taking some laps around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Where is he on the chart, Benny?
21st so far, fastest car in practice as he closes in on the back of Ron Barfield.
172.964 for Sterling Marlin. There it is, 52.034. And the 18 car driven by Terry Labonte is also making some laps around the track. Bobby Labonte, I should say.
That's his little brother, Terry's little brother, Bobby.
Looks like he's 25th right now at 172.659.
Driving a Pontiac, and you know who ran really good last year in a Pontiac?
Johnny Benson.
Johnny Benson. Really
As a matter of fact, he led the most laps here at the track last year in the Brickyard 400. There are a lot of drivers there in the garage area, and they're waiting to get out there on the racetrack. You think they're getting a little antsy right now?
Well, you know, they're watching those speed charts. They all have computers inside the garage area, and they're watching those guys get faster and faster, and they're not able to do anything at all about it. You know, they want to get out there and say, let's see just how fast our car can go.
And one of those waiting to go out is Hut Strickland. They've been changing an engine on that car. Let's see how the progress is going.
And Hut Strickland just talking to me a moment ago said one of the guys just got brake cleaner in his eyes. He said, Doc, what do we do for him? I said, he needs to go wash it out right away. Go irrigate it out. Hut Strickland and the crew still working on the engine here. They actually, for those of you folks keeping score at home, the engine change began at 1:30 Central Time or 2:30 Eastern Time. So they have been doing it a little over an hour, and Hut just told me they're probably around 8 minutes away from having the car ready to go on the racetrack. They are working feverishly trying to get the car back out, as now Hut has been asked in the next minute or two to go ahead and put the tools up and himself climb in the car while the rest of this crew tries to get ready to get the Circuit City Ford back on the racetrack after a very rapid engine change. Let's check across the garage walkway here. I think Bill Weber is caught up with the 81 crew.
And that's exactly right. And Kenny Wallace has joined us. The Square D Ford sits here in Gasoline Alley. And you're not one of the fastest guys today, but is that important? Does that mean anything to you guys today?
Oh, it means something today, you know, because momentum's what you need to roll into tomorrow. We're, you know, we're just like anybody else. We're searching for a little bit more speed. We're still working with the chassis to get going through the corners quick. So, you know, by the end of the day at 5 o'clock, the team that comes out of here and, you know, up in the top 25, they'll have some momentum. They'll sleep good. You know, they won't have to look for as much speed as you would if you're sitting around 30th, 35th.
Well, you're 31st right now, and this place has not been kind to you in the past.
No, it hasn't. I'm looking for everything to be kinder to me. Besides that pole at Martinsville, it's not been a very good year. I wish those days would come back, but we're working really hard to do it. You know, Square D's been a great sponsor. They've been behind us the whole time, and we're still digging. Ain't nothing bad right now. We're just 31st quick, and I guess there's about 52, 54 cars here, so we're just looking for more speed. This track is pretty famous for all of a sudden you pick up 3 or 4 tenths, so you know, we did that in testing, and everybody's playing the game right now. Everybody's chasing that monitor. I'm sure you guys got it up there right now. We're doing the same thing down here.
Okay, Benny?
Hey, Bill, ask Kenny how close he came to that wall just on that last practice run.
Benny has been closely observing your on-track activities and wants to know just how close to the wall you came on that last run.
I'm trying to get some speed. I came close. We, you know, we're stiffening up the rear springs a little bit, trying to get the front end a little more active, and I think we went a little too far. We went back down on the right rear, so hopefully, Benny, I won't be that close to the wall again this time.
Good.
Kind of try to figure out where that wall's at so you can use everything up, but I think I used every bit of it up that time.
It doesn't move either when you run into it, does it?
See, what I want to do is I want to go get my crew chief right now because them boys are behind me, but those are the things I wish they could see. Because it's like when you go to Sears Point, all the crew can see is what they see in front of them. So there's like 15 corners on the racetrack, but they want to talk about that one they can see. When you're here, all they talk about is turn 1, so I don't know.
You need to enroll them in the ESPN ride-along program so they can experience it firsthand.
You know what? That's what I need to do. By the way, that's what, you know, we always got the race car driver in the seat.
Right.
And the guy in the back all the time. We need to put, a funny one would be the driver in the front seat and a crew chief in the back saying, drive harder, what's wrong with you? Can't you drive it loose? Go, go. Because, you know, we get that every once in a while, you know.
We'll call the agency and get to work on that.
Okay, me and Newton Moore, we'll do one of those deals.
Okay, well, go fast now, okay?
We're trying, thank you.
All right, that's Kenny Wallace, certainly one of the nicest guys down here. Cross your fingers for him. This track might owe him a little bit, too.
A look at the top 15 speeds so far here in this practice session, being led by Lake Speed, just a little bit off the track record, 176.142. Back at Indianapolis, taking a look at the qualifying order. Tomorrow, join us for first round coverage of qualifying here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. There's a long list, Benny. Now, it's not hot here in Indianapolis, but it is sunny. Now, does that mean that the track in the middle part of the afternoon is going to be slick, and as the afternoon grows along and the shadows come over the track, that'll cool off?
I would think as the evening wears on, the afternoon wears on, that the racetrack will probably slow down some. I think it'll probably get a little bit warmer.
Yep.
And temperature just kills speed for race cars. The grip, also the grip of the tires, also how the engine competes, how the engine runs.
Now look at these last few qualifiers, and that just shows you right there how you're going to need to stick around all through the session tomorrow to see who really wins the pole for this race.
Dale Earnhardt will go 48th, John Andretti 47th, and as we mentioned, Johnny Benson, he will go out 46th.
Benson leading the most laps here at Indianapolis last year. Jerry?
Exactly, Bob. He led 70 laps here a year ago. Has to be a highlight of your young career as a Winston Cup driver, Rookie of the Year coming here. Can you guys do it again, maybe hang on a little longer this year?
Well, you know, 70 laps is great last year, but I want to do what Joe Ruttman did this week in the trucks. 1 lap. I don't care. Just lead 1 lap.
Just lead the last one, right? That's all you want.
The last one, but no, if we can, I think we'll be okay. I mean, it's the same car we had last year. It's all right. We're not quite where we want to be yet because they did change the track, and we're trying to just sort that a little bit. But testing went real well, so we'll see if Pennzoil Pontiac can do the same thing he did last time here. We'll be pretty happy with that.
With the combination of the drag and the downforce that the Pontiac body has, at a lot of places you say you may be at a disadvantage, but on the race day here, that may help you.
Yeah, the Pontiac seemed to run all right on the flatter tracks. Still, I'm at the argument is we haven't won any races, but it has helped us. We're a little bit more equal on the flatter tracks, and Indy is pretty flat. There's no doubt about it. So I think the drag will help us a little bit here, strictly because if you're not leading it, you're going to be doing a little bit of drafting anyhow. So I don't think that'll hurt us too bad. And I don't know. I think we'll be okay. We've got some things we want to try yet, and we'll see what happens.
Arguably, there's no other car owner in NASCAR racing the near-sky Chuck Ryder that people would more like to see get a win. Your guy's been at it now in his 10th year and has not gotten his first Winston Cup victory. What would it mean for you to give him one here at the Brickyard?
I think it'd be great for me and him. There's no doubt about it. I want to win a race as bad as probably anybody here, as long with Doug Hewitt and Ron Peary and the whole crew. There's no doubt about that. I mean, and it don't matter where it's at. I'd love it to be here at the Brickyard, but as long as it's this year, I mean, that's what we're going for.
All right, Johnny Benson had a great run a year ago, leading 70 laps. Hopes to improve on that here in 1997. And speaking of improving on things, Lake Speed, Bob Jacobs improved on his lap, and it was a good one.
As a matter of fact, he is above the track record. Jeff Gordon again with the track record last year at 176.419. Lake just turned a 176.710, and Terry Labonte just hit the track for the first time. Benny, you want to say something?
I wanted to correct
okay,
you.
We might mention that. Go ahead.
When you were talking about Lake Speed, he was just under, not over the track record, just under the track record.
The speed is over the track record. The time is under the track record.
Oh,
yes.
All right.
By the way, well, Terry's slowing down, so we're not going to have a good lap on his.
Ollie went out there to get a plug check. He just ran down one straightaway, cut the engine clean. He'll coast back in, and all the engine guys will take the plugs out. They'll make sure that they're getting enough fuel to the engine, and then he'll go out and make that run. Probably another 30, 45 minutes before Mr. Labonte will find out how fast that rooster can go around the racetrack.
All right, well, Lake Speed may win the pole position tomorrow. He's never won a pole in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. Back in Indianapolis in a moment. All of us covering the Brickyard 400 will be here at noon on Saturday Eastern Time with NASCAR on the grid as we set the stage for the 4th Indianapolis Brickyard 400, and then you'll switch over to ABC at 1 o'clock for the race itself.
And you and I will be doing that race for ABC
yes,
this
sir.
weekend.
Jack Arute and Jerry Punch and Bill Weber will also be there. Speaking of Jerry Punch, he is in the Rusty Wallace garage area.
Well, a serious thrash going on down here with the Miller crew. The Penske Racing South team working very, very hard to get this car up to speed. In fact, if you look at your stats, no driver has finished better, has a better average finish in the 3 Brickyard 400s than that guy right there, Rusty Wallace, who drives for Roger Penske and Don Miller. See if we can sneak in there and find out what they're doing with the cars. Rusty's talking to some of the crew members there, and they've been working on the brakes here. Rusty was very concerned about the brakes as they're working. Well, listen, the concern from what I overhear was the fact that they put some lightweight brakes on the car, and Rusty didn't like the way they feel. Rusty, you're looking at the brakes. What seems to be the problem?
Well, we put a real nice set of lightweight brakes in this car, and on the test session, this car handled perfect. I brought it back, and when I do touch the brake, you don't use much brake at all here, if any, but when I do touch it, it upsets it real bad. It's trying to lock up, and it's making the car real twitchy getting in the corner. So I've been chasing that. You touch the brake pedal, the car pulls real bad to the left, or it just flat locks up. I said, guys, we don't have time for this monkey business now. Let's get it off of there and get the normal stuff back on. That's what we're doing.
Did you try the lightweight ones during practice and testing, or just here for the day?
Oh, we did. We put them on here for today. We're trying to get some lighter unsprung weight, get more lead in the car, make it handle better, get better acceleration up off the corner with lower inertia. And we're still going to try that, but I believe we just got the problem in the front brakes. We're going to try one thing at a time. Thank God we got an early test session here.
All right, Rusty Wallace will let him get back to work. He is $43,000 away from becoming NASCAR's next $15 million man. If he were to earn that much here, and he indeed will by just starting this race, he will have $15 million or more in earnings in his Winston Cup career. Bill Weber standing by with a 1995 Winston Cup champion.
And is it back home again in Indiana?
Oh, it feels good. You know, I tell you, the weather was never this good when I lived here. What's the deal?
This is beautiful for here, isn't it?
This is nice. I tell you, and you know, it's fitting for such a great race and a great facility, and we're just enjoying ourselves. We're thrashing here a little bit. Just you know, we got our practice motor in, and we're not taped up, but we are second off, and we want to pick up some speed.
Good weather for qualifying.
Great weather. I hope it stays like this because I drew an early number, and I don't want to cool down too much for those guys at the end. You know, we're looking to get a top 10 for qualifying. Last year we were looking for the same thing. We found the pole. Not exactly expecting the same thing this time, but a top 10 would be really good for us. We feel like we brought a race car, not a qualifying car.
But you've added some excitement to qualifying here in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, more excitement than I've wanted to add, I can tell you that. Some of my highlight videos are qualifying here in 95, so we want to get a smooth lap. I've already been made it a little bit too exciting off of 4 already today, a couple times. Car's a little loose there. This new pavement that they put down in the middle of the corners really kind of threw a twist in there for us. We felt like we were in really good shape with the way it was, and now I've got a little bit too much grip in the front of the car. We're trying to get rid of that, or at least just get some back to the rear.
So you say this car will race better perhaps than it's going to qualify?
Well, we hope so. We feel like this is a car that cuts a little bit better. The front end cuts a little bit better, and you know, normally you always get tight from the middle off here in the race, and we're hoping this is a good race car.
And are you in a slump? 3 races without a win?
Yeah, right. No, I mean, gosh, you know, it's so funny, you know, you win 7 races and then the people start expecting you to win every 3rd race, and we're not expecting that out of ourselves. We're leading the points. We finished second at Jarrett, which was like a win to us at Pocono. I mean, there was nobody that was going to touch him, and we don't want to see that same scenario happen here at the Brickyard. We want that win, and you know, we want it bad.
Well, thanks for talking to us, and great luck here at the Brickyard.
Okay, Bill, thanks.
And as we enter this race, he has a 64-point advantage on Mark Martin, with the defending champion Labonte third, then Jarrett and Burton, Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte, Ricky Rudd, Jeremy Mayfield, and Ted Musgrave complete the top 10. ESPN2's coverage of practice for the Brickyard 400 being brought to you by Daytona USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. Ladies and gentlemen, Hut Strickland has completed the engine change that took just a little less than 90 minutes, and he is on the racetrack. So we'll keep an eye quickly on Hut Strickland. Right now, he's just getting up to speed, let's say.
Actually, he did beat that. That was his previous lap. His last lap was 171.671, 39th. So how about that?
Well, Bill Elliott in previous years has finished 3rd, 4th, and 10th here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Brickyard 400. Jerry's with Bill.
And Bob, he is the only driver who has started and finished in the top 10 in all 3 races. Bill, you got a pretty good record here. Can you keep it going?
Yeah, but we hadn't been here that much. You know, that's, you know, the thing about this racetrack is track position means everything. And, you know, you need a good qualifying lap or make some good strategy moves during the race or have an awful good race car. But, you know, for us is, you know, main thing right now, we're concentrating on trying to get qualified well for the McDonald's Ford and just see kind of what goes on from there.
You brought a brand new race car here. The team is really pumped up. Everyone excited that this maybe could be your year and maybe your race.
Well, you never know. I mean, everybody's worked hard. That's one thing I got to say. Regardless of what we come out here Saturday afternoon, this team has put together a good effort. And we've run good a lot of the last number of races, and we've just had a little monkey on our back that we can't hardly get off of. But the biggest thing is these guys continue to work, and they continue to put good cars under me. And Ernie and all the guys have done a heck of a good job in the motor department. And if we just keep climbing that ladder, I feel like we'll be in good shape.
All right, Bill Elliott getting ready to go back out and try to get this car in a mocked qualifying run. 8 of the top 10, we are told, are Fords, and so we'll check in with the Chevy camp where Bill Weber is standing by.
And Terry Labonte leads that Chevy camp. The Ford guys are running pretty well here. You're not getting paid by the lap today, are you? I hope not.
I hope not. We haven't made too many. But,
what's the plan here?
Well, I don't know. We weren't really too excited about getting out there to practice, and so we got ready to go, and we had an ignition problem, and a couple hours later we found out what it was, and so we've only been out and made 1 lap. So I don't know. We still got a lot of practice left. Still got a lot of practice tomorrow. It's the same car I tested here, so we should be pretty close. I know the track's a little bit different with some new pavement, but it's the same for everybody.
You'll be ready tomorrow.
Hopefully we will be. We should be. I think I know we've got a good car here, and we should be ready for tomorrow.
Okay, very patient Terry Labonte relaxing down here in the garage.
The question is, can Lake Speed continue to be on the top of the speed charts through the practice and through qualifying and win his first pole? He continues to be the fastest in this first practice round here at Indy. We're going to show you the best speed of every car and driver that has been out on the track so far. There are the top 15 being led by Lake Speed.
And we see Earnhardt and Skinner teammates right together, almost the same speed. Rick Wilson, good run for him in 10th spot.
Now here is 16 through 30 on the speed chart so far. That's being led by Steve Grissom. Ward Burton is 17th.
And Bill Elliott, a lot of folks think had a real shot at the pole, is 21st right now, so obviously hasn't really tried that hard.
Here's through 45 with the Waltrip brothers up there in 31st and 32nd.
And after 38th is where the cutoff would be, so these cars back there, Strickland, Marcus Cope, Rusty, those guys got to pick up some speed, and there we see those other cars, Bobby Hill and Ricky Craven. Morgan, Mike Wallace, Chad Little, and Terry Labonte, only one lap on the track.
Jerry Punch.
Our first crash of the week came not on the racetrack, but in the garage. That's what's left of the front fender having to be banged out on Dick Trickle's car. Dick, what happened?
Well, you know, it's got an intersection here, and I looked over and didn't see Hamilton coming. He must have been coming from the gas pumps. He must have been coming pretty quick because I was just crawling, and, you know, we met at this intersection, and, you know, his right front got on my left front, so I imagine he's got a little bit of damage, but it's just cosmetic. We'll be all right.
All right, some minor sheet metal damage. The car number 90 of Dick Trickle and the 43 of Bobby Hamilton. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Jerry, we've talked about how the Fords are fast. Well, when you talk about Fords, you need to talk about Roush Racing. Right now, Mark Martin, Jeff Burton, and Ted Musgrave, the three Roush cars, are all in the top 7 on the speed sheet. Last week at Pocono, they finished 3, 4, 5. Burton, Musgrave, Martin. That was 2 weeks ago at Pocono. If you're looking for guys that have a good shot at victory lane here, even though this is only Wednesday, all 3 of these guys have to be considered. A lot of fast guys, a lot of good cars, a lot of talent in the garage. But Roush Racing has really seemed to hit their stride. We'll see how it goes in qualifying tomorrow. Dr. Punch.
Well, those of you who are going to watch qualifying tomorrow, don't go away early. Don't make any plans late in the afternoon because this guy right behind me goes out in 49th spot. And behind him are 2 of the Sabco cars. Front row, Joe Nemechek and his teammate Robbie Gordon. But Earnhardt trying to break that 45-race winless streak. They think this team right here, this could be their week. And it all starts tomorrow with Busch Pole qualifying in the afternoon.
Benny, quickly, what have we learned here in the first 2 hours of practice?
We learned the Fords are very, very good. We learned that Lake Speed is good. And Jeff Gordon said that he thought maybe the shadows coming over the racetrack would make a late number a better time to qualify.
Bill Weber mentioned initially that those rumble strips might be gone tomorrow. I haven't heard anybody really complain about them so far.
As a matter of fact, most of the guys have praised the strips.
Okay, let's take a look at what's happening tonight here on the Deuce. At 7 o'clock, it's RPM tonight with John Kernan. The DuPont 100 Silver Crown race at 9:30 from IRP. Tomorrow, join us live at 2:30 on ESPN for qualifying, and qualifying continues here on the Deuce. We'll see you then. Thanks for joining us from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for practice for the Brickyard 400. Stay tuned for news.